The goal in recording this video, 3 days, 4 days, time's a construct at this point, before the actual 9.5 release is that, in theory, I will be able to edit this video and actually get it out on Tuesday because, we're going into peak advising season, so my time is non-existent. Even if I were to play a couple of DBD games in between now, when I'm recording this video, versus when 9.5 actually launches, I don't think it's going to tip any scales when it comes to tracking the killers I saw during 9.4. If you're new here, welcome. I like looking at spreadsheets and making them do cool things when I have the brain capacity to make them do cool things. I am really fascinated by tracking my killer statistics, aka how many times I see a specific killer in Dead by Daylight. You can check out my playlist of all of my prior videos that I have done. There's a link down below if you would like to track your own statistics using my Excel document. And of course, you're more than welcome to make edits to your own version of it, whatever is going to best help you if you wanted to do this yourself. And I'm not doing this for any particular reason or to prove a point. I just really like statistics and just looking at the raw data. It just pleases the little tism in my brain. And as we talked about before, there's multiple factors that go into why you may be seeing a specific killer more often or not at all. So this is not to be this is what everyone is seeing. This is more just what I'm seeing to see if I notice any trends and to open up like a larger conversation with all of you on maybe trends that you may be seeing in your own DBD games. One thing before we get into the statistics for 9.4, I am messing with my microphone audio settings, so apologies if it sounds a little funky, if there's peaking, anything like that. If you notice anything weird, feel free to let me know in the comments. But with that, let's get into the statistics for 9.4. You're probably going to notice, gray, that's a lot of green. Because if you've seen my prior spreadsheets, let's go to 9.2 as an example. It's usually color gradient with like a heat map. When you look at 9.4, you're going to see a lot of green. And you're going to be wondering, Gray, how many games did you play this patch? My dear viewer, that is when I tell you, oh, I played 104 Survivor games. But there's also a reason for that. If you notice at the very bottom of my spreadsheet, a tab that was not there before, beyond the 9.5 tab specifically, you're going to notice a tab for PTB. Now, Gray, you've never played PTB before. Why are you playing PTB? My son? Beg your pardon. Yeah, so Trickster is getting a rework, and that is the big thing coming with 9.5, along with the new map of Trickster's Delusion. If you know me to anything, I am a huge Trickster fan. I main him. I never see him in my base games. So if there was even a chance that I was going to see him in any reasonable time frame, it was to play to PTB. So I did make that a separate spreadsheet just because PTB is kind of its own thing and I want to keep it self-contained, almost like 2v8 as well. I will also note with this patch of DBD, and I think like slowly, incrementally over the last few patches, I've been trying to play more killer. I am not about to do a spreadsheet of which survivors I see the most when I play killer. I'm trying to play more killer, so obviously I'm still playing maybe the same amount of hours in Dead by Daylight, but it's going to show up as less Survivor games because I'm playing more killer. So going back into the statistics of what I saw during 9.4. 9.4 also saw the new licensed killer of the first, which is Vecna 2.0, Vecna from Stranger Things. Again, I am a Stranger Things fan, so I was very excited for him to come into the fog, especially his Henry Creel outfit. We did see the first, again, coming out swinging during 9.4.0, and I think that's also why we're seeing not so much of a outlier number like the way we saw with Ken Kaneki, with Tokyo Ghoul, with the Ghouls release, and even with the animatronics release either, because one, I didn't play as many games, so we can do some we could do some math. We could treat ourselves to some math. I don't think just like a lot of people just wanted to play him. Like in my games, I played some games with Azure Boy last night, which you can check out the VOD on my channel if you're curious. We saw none of him. And it's very interesting. It's always so fascinating, like almost like what goes in and out of style in a way. And again, it could be, like we've talked about before, it could be when I'm playing DBD, if people are just sick of playing as him. It could be if they've made any minor buffs or nerfs to his kit between 9.4 and then 9.4.2, which is the current patch of DBD. There's so many different variants in that. So it's just curious to see how, in comparison to other licensed killers that have come out recently or within the last year or so, year and a half, we haven't seen a whole lot of the first. And if I call him Vecna, know that I'm referring to Vecna, Stranger Things. So obviously in first place for the most seen killer is the first. Kind of funny of a naming thing right there. And then in second place at 8 total sightings out of my 104 games is the animatronic, which I haven't even looked at my prior stats all the way through 9.0 to recall this, but like that seems about on par for him as a killer. He's just a popular killer now. I would say he's probably going to be on the liking of like maybe like Wesker in the sense of just being a consistent killer. We've talked about this before. Over time, we're going to see these consistent trends of, even if they're not the most seen killer in any given patch, they're played enough to still be a consistent force within my Survivor games. There was also a 2v8 during this patch, and I did not play many 2v8 games. I played 12 divided by 2 is 6. I played 6 games of 2v8. 2v8 just didn't hit for me this time around. I don't know why. I really don't know why it just didn't click with me. Again, this was during February, which I was focused on other stuff. If you've been following on Twitch or in the Discord, I've been working on a Love and Deep Space Terror deck, which is now finished. So now I can work on video editing for once in my life. I just didn't really vibe with it. And I know people also mentioned about the blood point incentive not being where it has been in the past. And I think that was also a big thing for me. Like, why do I want to go play a game of 2v8 where I would rather go just play killer and bring my cobbler? Because in 2v8, you can't bring offerings. So it's not like all-time people in a lobby can stack upon stack upon stack like cobbler and bloody party streamers. It's something about that just like made me just like not care for 2v8 this time around. And I really did want to play more just for the statistical aspect of it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do so. I would rather play PTB because, and we'll see right now, I'll show you right now, PTB, so how I'm going to work the PTB spreadsheet is that every column is going to be its own PTB. And now that I know how to do PTB, I might be more inclined to play it in the future. I really wanted to play PTB for Trickster, and alas, I saw Trickster, and my heart was very happy. We played 47 games of PTB across 9.4, 2v8, and PTB. We almost played about 100 Survivor games, which I think is on par with... Oh, actually, no, I almost played 200 games, so not as much. Okay, I think what's interesting about PTB, and this is why I separated it out from the others, is because PTB is the time where the developers are testing new things, whether it be a new survivor, new killer, new map, new mechanics, whatever. I'm just curious to see how it's going to shift in terms of numbers as different PTBs happen. So clearly we saw a lot of Tricksters because Trickster, it's his map. Plus you can argue it's Yunjin and Taeyun's map as the survivors, but it is called Trickster's Illusion. It is his map. People want to test out his rework, which is fair, and people want to give feedback. And it's been really interesting to hear from the people who have been playing Trickster since his launch, give feedback on how the rework is currently playing and what they think might make him better or feel better. Because I know there was some changes to him. I don't want to call them nerfs necessarily, but there were changes from his original kit to the version of Trickster we have now, which is not as fun to play against, according to other players. I wouldn't know because I have only played as the current Trickster. I don't know what the prior Trickster is like. So we did still have a mixture of different killers. Like we had the animatronic, second to Trickster, which Trickster has 18 sightings. Animatronic had 3, so still even in PTB, in comparison, animatronic was still really popular. It's cool to see that we had like a little bit of everything. That we saw a Krasu game, we did see someone playing Henry, We did see people playing as stealth killers, so we did see a Myers on this map. I also did see some ghost faces as well. We saw some other ranged killers like Huntress and Deathslinger. So it was interesting to see that like different types of killers were being tested on the map, which is fair. When you're bringing in a new map, you want to make sure that it's going to be relatively balanced for all killers and not give like a specific killer type an advantage or a disadvantage. Obviously, regardless, there's going to be certain maps that are going to have advantages or disadvantages for survivor and killer. Like I played against a Myers last night who was a total jump scare Myers. It scared us both pretty good. He wanted Leary's, so he brought a Leary's offering, and he just so happened to get lucky and get Leary's. Myers and Ghostface and other stealth killers perform really, really well in indoor maps because of where you can hide and how you can sneak up on people. It was kind of fun. It was fun to see different killers. Obviously, like, I want to see all of the tricksters. Like, it's Trickster's map. I want to see him. If I don't see a trickster, I get sad. I'm curious to see how many tricksters we're going to see in 9.5, because first of all, PTB is only available for Steam on PC, so not Epic on PC, Steam only on PC. So this is not including console, not including Switch, not even including Epic. If we're seeing this amount of tricksters now in PTB, I can only imagine how many we're going to see once everybody is going to be able to play this map in 9.5, which makes me very excited. I just hope I have the energy to play all of the games, because we start peak advising next week, which for you, hopefully when this video releases, is now this week for peak advising, which means I am going to feel a little dead inside, which hopefully I can play this map and have a butt ton of fun. There really isn't a lot else I want to talk about with 9.4. Again, I only played 104 survivor games. Yeah, with that, like, we did not see a Wraith, a Hag, Pig, Plague, Skull Merchant, Singularity, Dark Lord, or Houndmaster. But every other ones we saw at least one of. So now we're going to do the fancy thing that I like to do live when I record these videos, is we're going to copy all of the data and we're going to put it into our all game spreadsheet, which I did already update. We're probably not going to be able to like fully see all of the color changes, but it'll still be interesting to see how all of that looks. So let me zoom out a little bit just so it's a little easier to see everything to the best of our abilities, because oh boy, this is a giant spreadsheet so far. All right, so we're going to copy, paste. We did go over 2,000 games since we've started tracking, and I did say that at the end of last video that this is going to be the patch where we go over 2,000 games. So cool, we've played 2,000 games. Congratulations to us. The first doesn't have really an outlier number. Like, it's the same number as when Houndmaster was first introduced. Granted, Houndmaster was, out of 39 games, we saw her 12 times. And this is 12 times out of 25, which, if I were to do some math, and we all know I am terrible at math, as my students also know, 12 divided by 25 is 40.48. So 48% of our games in 9.4 were against Henry, versus 12 out of 39, which I already know, and we've done this math before. 12 divided by 39 is around 31%. So even though I played more games, statistically speaking, we saw the first more than Houndmaster in their respective first patch release. Hello, this is Editing Gray reporting for duty. I decided real quick to do some additional math because I did not realize in the moment that even though I was comparing the 12 to 12, so the first 12 with the Houndmaster's 12, I was technically kind of comparing apples to oranges in a way, because the first is a licensed killer while Houndmaster is an original killer. So I went back and did some really quick math in relation to how many games we played in 9.0.0, which was animatronic's first release, and then back in 8.6.0, which was Kaneki, the Ghoul's first release. We played 40 games in 9.0.0, which 32 of them were against the animatronic. And when you do the math to get the fraction, it comes out to 0.8, which means 80% of my games in that initial release were against the animatronic. And then when you look at 8.6.0, I played 68 games, 36 of them were against the ghoul. So when you do the calculation, you get 0.529, or you can round it up to 53, which is 53%. So based on that simple math, animatronic is actually the outlier out of those 3 licensed killers, and their full releases being seen 80% of the time out of my games, whereas Kaneki and the first were both around or between 48 to 53% of the time. Knowing this piece of information, I'm going to be even more curious to see how the next licensed killer, and we don't know at this moment in time what that licensed killer is going to look like, and how that data is going to trend. Are we going to have another animatronic situation where it just blows everyone out of the water? Or are we going to have something along the lines of the first and the ghoul in retrospect, where it's around 50% of the time, 50% of your games within the first patch release, the initial release, are going to be with the new killer, and then in a way they kind of fade to the back a little bit. Licensed killers tend to perform better because people already have a natural draw to them, right? Like, you know them from popular media. Maybe it's your favorite character from a TV show. Maybe it's your favorite anime. Maybe it's your favorite other video game, so FNAF. You already know the character, right? It's not like the original killer where they are building them from scratch, and with the exception of the anniversary builds that they're doing where we as the community are helping them shape the killer and survivor that we're going to get as like a community built chapter, which I think is a really cool idea, by the way. We have no idea what killer is coming to the fog next, if it's an original killer or original survivor, until they actually start making trailers and promo material for it. So like, we go in with no idea. We have to learn about them. We have to learn who they are. Whereas with licensed killers and licensed survivors, if you already know the source material, it makes it a lot easier for people to connect with them as a killer or survivor. When the first was coming into the fog and like they did like the promo and like everyone was like, oh my god, it's Vecna, it's gonna be Henry, oh my god, I was already sold. I was like, yeah, this is great. I don't even know what his power is gonna be. Like, I'm excited. It's, I guess, like kind of like a marketing thing. I've never taken a marketing class in my life. I have students who do marketing. Like, I would rather have them do marketing. From my understanding, it would be it's a harder sell, right? Because you have to get people to like the thing, right? Whereas with like Ghoul, Animatronic, Henry, the Masterminds of Wesker, Nemesis, like, they're already in popular IPs. The work has already been done. They just have to make sure that they don't screw the landing, right? They have to make sure that the game is working great, that the killer's fine, that everything is fine. With original killers, I have a feeling that maybe people don't judge them, but like are probably a little harder on them because we don't know them. We don't know who they are. We don't know their backstory. Maybe we just don't like their kit, or maybe we don't like their backstory, which is fair. Like, no, you're not required to like every single character in every single video game. Just don't be racist about it, and then we're fine. I did mention the anniversary chapter, which, because it's been a community sourced endeavor where we as the community have been able to vote, I wonder if we're going to see an interesting outlier among the original killers that I've played against so far, which in the tracking, I started tracking a little after Dark Lord released. So I don't have full Dark Lord numbers, but again, he's a licensed killer. So we have only seen 2 original killers in the time that I have been tracking my numbers. We've known about this chapter ever since their 9th anniversary stream, going on 10-year anniversary stream, when they announced animatronic and all of these other things, and they talked about the community built chapter, and they were talking about their roadmap. I wonder if people are going to be much more on board to play this new original killer, because we've known about it for so long. And we're not exactly hyping it up either, right? Because they're still in the designing phase of things. They're now trying to figure out how the power is going to work. They're finalizing designs. They've just had us vote on the names for the survivor and what the killer is going to be called. We're starting to get into the final stretches of this, because I believe this is supposed to be like for the anniversary, like kind of like how animatronic was dropped for the anniversary of DBD. I wonder, because they've kind of been laying this groundwork because they've had to for a community built chapter, that people are going to be much more willing to play the new killer, almost seeing numbers as if it was a licensed killer in when it's released. But that remains to be seen. We still have a few months before that. I believe Blood Moon is coming back, even though I heard like Blood Moon's not coming back. Yeah, not much has really changed in the numbers. Again, depending on how many games I play, Legion might be the next one. Legion or Mastermind are currently in the race for who's going to be my next one to break 100 sightings. So that will be interesting to see who comes out on top. Do wonder if, because of a patch, a major rework for the Trickster, if we'll need to do some sort of outlier shenaniganry. We had to do that for animatronic and Ghoul, so I'm wondering, that would be kind of cool to see for like a rework, that there's such a resurgence that we have to do an outlier number within the spreadsheet, otherwise everything's going to be fucking green. It's going to be interesting to see how that all looks in the end of things, but I'm just excited to see more Trickster. Personally, I just love my boy. I love him. He's great. Because I don't get to play against him often, I'm terrible at looping him. Would love to know your thoughts on what you thought of 9.4. Did you feel a specific way about 2v8, kind of like how I did? Did you play PTB? What did you think of that? Did you not play as Trickster in the PTB on the new map, and what did you think of that? I think they did make some additional changes to some other killers, but I could be wrong. I don't remember. I was just focused on Trickster in the map. With that, I will see you all at some point in the future, definitely after 9.5. We'll check back in. We'll see how Trickster's doing. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a good March, April, whatever, and I'll see you all in the future. My name's Erin Gray, Queer Bride to Streamer, signing off.